passing through these social media streets today, I couldn't help but see a consistency in conversations, and I feel like I've been blessed to lead conversations, so I take such a duty so seriously. But I want to speak to love today. I'm going to speak to that later in the evening, and I touched upon it today in my Hey Friend episode that I delivered to you all. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. And how it's such an important component. It is the most vital component to this existence. It binds everything together. It makes everything so meaningful. Without the love component, nothing is worthwhile. But I want to take it further, just for the sake of having a conversation with you while I got 20 more minutes, actually 19 more minutes on my treadmill. Having concern for one another is very important. That's an aspect of love. To be genuinely concerned about one another, whether in family dynamics, whether relationships that we have with one another, either in friendships or, romantic connections, neighborly, community-based connections, work environments. It's so vital that we are concerned about one another. It's so very important that we never lose the human component. That we never get so lost in the idea and the projection that we take upon the characteristics of the projection only. And we lose the most valuable component, and that is the human factor. It doesn't make you, just as it has always been with God teaching these people, the surrounding nations that surround these children, and the children themselves. God spent so much time leading by example, taking these people through ins and outs in life and circumstances so that they know through experience why they should and shouldn't do certain things. And this has to do with mostly the spirit in which they choose to do the things they do. Why it's so vitally important that all of us act in accordance to the proper spirit needed to give that thing its power, its long-term stability. It is the spirit that matters most when embarking on activities in life. I've spoken to Project Looking Glass and how many scientists look to manipulate this angle of energy or this science. But in them manipulating it, they must have the right spirit in order to get a very truthful result. Lest they have the proper spirit when approaching it, they're just wasting their time. They're going to get what they fear. That will be mirrored back to them in a myriad of ways. And they will feel as if there is no hope. But with the right spirit, when you approach that same thing under the exact same circumstances and within the same exact parameters, the outcomes are limitless. It seems as if the spirit you have when you approach a thing, dictates the beauty or the expansive nature of that which could come forth from it. So, when we speak to being concerned about one another, it is in the spirit that we show concern for one another. Is it a loving, willing spirit that we are coming forth in our concern? Or is it a malicious, selfish, undermining spirit? These things matter because they can present themselves in ways such as, new people coming into family structures. A new person being adopted into the family. It could be through marriage or a relationship, children, whatever. The spirit in which they come into the system dictates how they will be received. Same way with work. You could get a new contract, and the spirit in which you go about learning about that environment dictates your movement in that environment. So, if you're new to the environment in whatever capacity, by nature you're going to want to learn the environment. And in you learning the environment, what one would consider helpful, a way of you learning as much detail as you need to know of that environment so that you can lend your help in whatever capacity you have expertise in. This is a good spirit that you're lending to that environment based upon information you learn. Yet with the wrong spirit, or the person you're interacting with or that's learning of you and the knowledge you're gaining of that environment could view it or could be moving in a not so righteous spirit, and they could see that same activity as gossip, something negative, and be offended or find offense in that. It's all about spirit. I'm here to tell you, these spirits are the major problem we're facing. And I will not ever stop saying it because it is so truthful. I have seen this more than anything over the last 4 or 5 years of my life. These spirits that come upon people, whether they come upon people because they're not strong enough within themselves and they fear, and fear is an entryway for this spirit to come in, or they don't feel adequate, so they're insecure, and insecurity is a way for these spirits to get in there. They always find a way in with these low-level energies, things that we haven't healed from, openings within our own aura that allows for such things in. It's very important. I spoke to this yesterday in my Bible study of David, when we spoke to Abiathar coming upon David with the ephod. Abiathar did not need to be told to get that ephod. Abiathar got that ephod because Abiathar needed that ephod. And God will put David and Abiathar together under an extreme circumstance. Abiathar had just as much on the line as David. But ain't that how God is? So David didn't need to micromanage Abiathar. David didn't need to second guess Abiathar. God had already micromanaged. God had put both David and Abiathar in a position where their back was against the wall and they had to come out swinging. They had to get as lean as they possibly could for this leg of the journey. They only took with them what they needed. And what they needed, they chose by its effectivity. Not off of emotion, not off of all this other stuff. Does it work? Has it been proven? That kind of stuff. A lot of times, that's how God pairs people together. The extremes. You might not know the extremes that other people are up against, but you can fine tune it. You can tell it by way of the way that they move, the things that they take with them along their journey, and how they choose people to align with them along their walks. I'm here to tell you, friends, you will choose people not because they're nice and they're, all these things. You won't have a problem with telling people, no, I don't need that right now. No, thank you. Because the environment, the situation requires it. You don't have time to pacify people. It's not that season. You need people that need it just as bad as you. And if you can face the things that are real without getting in your feelings, that lets me know that you need it just as bad as me. Because you don't have time, you don't have the luxury of doing all that. Oh, this is the word. This was on my spirit. I woke up with it this morning, and it came in the form of a conversation about love. It takes a fool to learn that love don't love nobody. It takes a fool to learn that love don't love no one. It does not make love good or bad. Only someone that has time to waste will get involved in, oh, love must be this and love must be that. But someone that don't have a lot of fat to burn gets to the point, and they quickly realize what the wisdom of that song is conveying, and that is that love is. It just is. But it is the fool's journey, his lifetime or her lifetime journey, in figuring that out and not taking it personally when you figure it out.